Alright, should be live then. So we should be going from this, so.
Alrighty.
Then we're going to talk about campus visits.
Campus visits.
I had some good questions, I think.
I think so. Should generate some good dialogue.
Huh?
Should generate good dialogue.
Yeah? Hopefully people,
Tune in.
yeah, put their comments in there.
I hope so.
Plenty of space for them down below and over to the right. Kind of over and up and yeah. So we're live and welcome. I'm Jason, EducationQuest Foundation. This is EducationQuest Live, kind of our monthly chance to talk about college planning and what you need to know, answer questions. Today I have Wynter with me.
Hello.
Wynter is a college planning specialist in our Omaha office, correct?
Yes, I am.
And this is your first time doing our EducationQuest Live.
It is my first time.
It's only our fourth
I know.
EducationQuest Live, so it's kind of everyone's first time, right?
Yes.
It's not?
That's what Trisha said.
Oh. Well, apparently we're going to YouTube, but not Facebook, so I'm going to take a minute and check on that. Let's see.
She said it is now.
There we go. I think it was probably just some network problems with them then.
Oh.
So we're apparently good now. So,
Nice.
all right. Well, before we get started with the campus visit side of things and the real reason that people are probably tuning in, it's Pi Day.
It is.
And we can't have Pi Day without pie, right? So we actually have pie.
Yes, we do.
Pie.
It's key lime, right?
It is. You asked for key lime.
I did.
I went out and got key lime. And I haven't had key lime in a long time, so.
Me either.
So everyone watching is going like, gosh, I wish I was there.
I know.
Right? So, good stuff.
Jealous.
We'll try not to partake too many times in this so that we don't upset some of our viewership. A couple housekeeping items before we get started. This is a live session. We are answering your questions. So if you have any questions while we're going through this or anything that we talk about that you want clarification on, Facebook, there's comments down below. YouTube, comments over there. So just type in whatever your question is, and we've got people kind of monitoring that, and they will make sure that we get the questions and you get the answers. So that works out well. But before we get started with our favorite questions from our fans and viewers, who should make a campus visit? Like, who are we talking to really when we're talking about campus visits and that and stuff?
Well, I believe that every student should go on a campus visit, especially, I would say, 8th graders going up until seniors, just because it gives them an idea of exactly what a college is and what that feel is. So it's really important that I think every student should go on a campus visit.
So 8th grade is probably the earliest they should go.
Right, yep.
And then periodically, pretty much all the way through high school then.
Yes, especially sophomore and junior year.
Yeah, I think that's the big part for them. That's really kind of when the tires meet the road kind of situation.
Right,
They're starting to make some of the big decisions. So what can a student expect from a campus visit? I think there's probably a number of people watching that have never been on a campus visit. So what should they expect? What's going to happen?
I would say typically the campus visit will last about an hour, and you get to tour various places on campus, like the library, academic buildings, the cafeteria, of course, which a lot of students like, and then dorms, which could be either freshman dorms or just dorms in general, like they like to show students.
So are these things kind of set that everyone does the same thing, or can it be customized?
Oh, it definitely. I would say it definitely can be customized. So when you're talking to the admission office, you definitely want to let them know exactly what you want while you're on campus. So make this your own personal experience so that you really leave the campus visits, feeling good about, okay, I got a good idea of what this campus entails for me or for my student. Awesome.
So you mentioned that students from 8th grade to seniors in high school are the ones that are kind of taking the campus visits, but when should they be taking them timeline wise? Is this a spring thing? Is it a fall thing? Is it something they should do over a break at winter or in summer?
Oh, good question. So I believe that students should start as sophomores, their spring, in the spring where, you're transitioning from sophomore year to junior year. So you kind of get that feel of, okay, this is what this campus looks like in the spring, especially while school is in session. You don't want to go in the summer because you don't get that real like authentic feel of being on campus where people are going, students are going to and from their classes. And then for senior year, definitely in the fall, if you want to revisit a college and make sure that it is the right fit for you. So I believe that would be a really good thing for a student. And then I forgot, sorry, junior year, it should be in the fall and in the spring as well.
Okay. Yeah, I remember going on one of my campus visits, and one of the admissions people had said that because the town was so small, that when school was in session, the size of the town like doubled in size.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So it can be drastically different, right? When kids are on campus versus when kids, and not just the campus, not just the classes and things like that, but the town in itself and how easy it is to get around to the things that you can do, outside of campus.
Exactly.
So why is it important? I mean, we talk about campus visits and how they can kind of help, but what are they helping with? What's the point of doing these?
Well, the point is, I believe campus visits are important because it helps with the process of choosing the college, university, and figuring out what your like right fit is for the student. So their fit is going to be different from their best friend, from their boyfriend or their girlfriend, or even from their brothers or sisters. Like it's something that can't really explain it, but it's like that feeling or that vibe you get when you're on campus, and it's totally different from the brochure because every brochure, it's very enticing. They want you to come, so it's on the brochure shows like the sunniest day, the best place on campus, and you want to go where students are, moving along while they're on campus, kind of that period of, we call like the busy time where everyone is just going from class to class. And you want to go during different elements too, like with the weather. So if you're going in the fall, it's going to look drastically different in the winter and even in the spring. So that's why I believe it's really important.
So it sounds like what you're saying is, when the students probably like junior year, maybe senior year or something, taking a second visit, but seeing the same school twice, maybe once in the fall and once in the spring, to know. Right. Because like you said, I mean, the brochures, they never show the 25 inches of snow.
No, they do not. They do not.
It's always bright, sunny, green grass. Yeah. Maybe artificial green grass, but it's going to be green grass, right? So how can students prepare? Or I guess, do they even need to prepare? Is this just something that they can go do on a whim?
Oh, I believe it's important to prepare. So definitely check the school's website or research the school's websites, brochures, maybe even their social media, see what aspects are happening while they're, maybe there's something different happening on campus. Maybe they've built new dorms. Maybe they are having showcasing different, I would say, concerts for some colleges on their campus, or even just get a feel of the student life on their social media as well. So it's just really important to research. So you come to the campus visit with questions ahead of time. So you're not just letting the student ambassador or even the admission rep, do all the talking.
Yeah. And we have on our website, we have a document that just has kind of a list of campus visit questions and stuff. So we'll put that into the description, and you can click on that and go check that out. But it's a good resource, if you're kind of struggling with what should I ask when I go on one of these types of things, that might kind of start sparking some ideas in your head. So
that's a biggie for a lot of students. They don't know exactly what to ask.
Yeah. So, and the questions are different depending on who you're talking to, right? Because a lot of times on campus visits, you get a chance to talk to the different departments like financial aid and admissions and academic affairs. And so the questions kind of differ. You wouldn't ask a question about Pell Grant to the academic affairs guy.
Or even like a professor.
Right, yeah. You're like, I don't know, go talk to him. So that kind of helps them, frame, like, when I'm talking to this person, this is what I should be asking them, right? Interesting. So who do they contact? Obviously they're going to want to talk to different people. So do they call up their friend who's going to the college and they set up the campus visit for them?
You can contact the admissions office maybe 2 to 3 weeks prior to your visit.
Okay.
Because their sessions can, fill up fairly quickly, especially I would say in the spring when it's nicer weather. So you want to call 2 weeks in advance, and then that's where you can make it a little bit more personable. So you can say, I want to visit maybe this dorm or talk to this professor. So then you're getting, as much out of this visit as possible.
Okay. And you said they're about an hour, right?
Mm-hmm. Roughly
typically about how
an hour.
long it takes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is there a lot of walking? Is it kind of we just sit in a room and see a bunch of pictures on the screen? Or?
There is a lot of walking,
Okay.
especially if it's a larger campus. There could be a lot of walking, and I know some campus visits, they may even allow you to use like one of their golf carts to truck around campus and just see all sorts of aspects. So you may not go into that set building, but they'll at least show you.
You talked earlier about how, you don't get the full picture kind of from the brochures and the websites and the images and stuff that they give you. And that's kind of a classic example of,
Yes.
a larger campus or something where you need transportation to get from point A to point B on campus is a lot different than, a smaller campus where it's really easy to kind of walk from class to dorm or student center or whatnot.
Right.
So
everything is that small little hub.
yeah. I mean, you see the picture. Like I remember seeing the picture of the campus of the school that I went to, and it fits on a page, and you think, oh, it fits on one page. No problem. I could clearly get from the top of the page to the bottom of the page in like 30 seconds.
Right.
I mean,
they don't tell you need tennis shoes.
yeah, they don't tell you the top of the page to the bottom of the page is like 30 miles or something.
Right, same for my campus.
So, what about? I think this is kind of a standard, I guess, theme. People want the inside scoop. They want the what does no one else know. So, what are your like tips as a college planning person? What are some of the like hidden things that people didn't know about campus visits? Things that they can do. Maybe people they can talk to, something like that.
I would say for some students, if you have former classmates and they're going to a college that you're interested in, talk to them, bug them, ask them about different, various aspects of the campus, maybe whether it's like student life or cafeteria or the dorms. I know dorms are very important to a lot of students because you're going to be there for potentially 4 or 5 years. So you want to make sure you're comfortable and, it's something that you're able to then stay on campus while you're there. Another thing is when you're done with the campus visit, like I said, it may last an hour, don't leave right away. Maybe take a trip around campus, see, what restaurants are available, if there's movie theater, or just kind of the life outside of campus. Like you mentioned, you went to a smaller town. That's something that's important that students should know what's surrounding the campus. What can you do around campus? And then one thing that helped me as a student athlete is I was able to talk to some of my maybe future teammates and ask them questions that maybe the coach wouldn't tell me, or just things about traveling or the food while we're on the bus rides, which I was going to see food was a very important thing for me while I was in school as an athlete. So that's something that I made sure that I was aware of when I was going on my visits, is just making sure I understood all aspects of it and not just, the dorm. Not the dorm, but not just the building or other things that might be.
It's interesting you mentioned talking to other students, and did you set that up? Did you ask to speak to, current athletes when you were going?
Yep, I did. I made sure that was really something that I could do, just because, again, these were going to be my teammmates. And I wanted to make sure that we, had that time to either bond or just so that they understood who I was too as their new teammate or potential teammate.
Yeah, I remember when I took our campus visit, and I didn't realize this, but they asked, a lot of questions about what you thought you were majoring in and stuff when I kind of scheduled it. And at one of the schools that I was visiting, they actually had like a student panel. There was 3 kids that had come in, and like it wasn't something that I knew to ask that I could do or anything, but it was helpful to hear from them, like, this is what goes on. Right. And then you mentioned the things to do. We put out with the admissions office. It was kind of interesting. There was always this thing published in the yearbook at the school that was the 100 things you should do as a student at the university. And it was just kind of this fun thing that we always did every year as part of the yearbook. And the admissions office started using it in some of their
awesome.
stuff. So they'd hand it out and show kids, like, this is what this is what the students say you need to do when you're here.
Sounds like a bucket list.
Yeah. And it's silly stuff like restaurants to eat at, or there was a sub shop that was open 24 hours. So it was like, you've got to order a sub at like 3 a.m.
Right.
Because you can, and so you have to. So yeah, there was a lot of those types of things, and stuff about the mascot and that, just kind of that fun stuff. But you're right, like that's the kinds of things that you don't see in a brochure, that you don't really think about is that student life aspect to college.
Exactly.
So, and the student center is a good one. I see a lot of tours that kind of skip over that. I mean, do you see a lot of value in them visiting the student center and seeing the kind of resources and stuff that are there?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's important because, in the student center, sometimes you're able to maybe get like tutoring help, or sometimes with our student center, it also kind of was like, you were able to buy like different memorabilia and like different hoodies and sweatshirts and books. So those were things that, as a freshman that I wanted, because I wanted to, rep my school.
Right.
So walk around campus, because usually as an athlete, for me personally, I was in hoodies 24/7 because I had practice either before or after my classes. And I'm sorry, I wasn't going to get dressed up. So hoodies, I lived in hoodies and sweats.
The life of an athlete.
Yes.
What about classes? I know a lot of students have anxiety about, especially if they're looking at going from like maybe a small town to a larger university or something. They see a number on a course book or something about the average class size or something like that. Is there something on the campus visit that they can do to kind of ease some of that anxiety, or figure out kind of what that really entails?
And that's why I say you want to go while school is in session,
right?
Because if you're going like in the morning or afternoon, you may be able to ask your tour guide, hey, can we stop by a classroom that's in session right now and just look to see, okay, how many students are in here, or what, how is the professor engaging with its students? And so I think that could be really helpful for them to kind of visually see, this is what it looks like for a classroom on this campus or on the next campus. So they can definitely stop into a classroom if possible.
Awesome. So for those of you that are watching, if you have any questions for Wynter about how to set up a campus visit or what to expect or anything, definitely make sure that you put those in the comments and stuff, and we'll make sure that she answers those. So fill that up, and we'll get to those kinds of questions. But some really good information on kind of what that entails and what students can kind of expect from that. So let's see here. How many campus visits should a student go on? Is there a...
Oh, I don't believe there's a number. I think in the beginning, like I mentioned, especially sophomore year, going as many as possible, just because you don't know what you don't like. So if it's a school that you're like, I'm not really even remotely interested in this college, tour it anyway, because then that gives you something to compare another college to.
Right.
So you're able to then say, okay, I know that I need this type of dorm, or this campus was way too large for me. I need something that's smaller setting, or maybe that has a smaller class size. So those are things that are really important and that you should definitely continue to go on campus visits.
You mentioned earlier that it's a good idea to kind of double that up, see a school in the fall, see a school in the spring, to get a feel for what campus is like in the different seasons. Do you also feel that I guess how many times, like, is 2 enough? Should they go more than twice if it's a school that they're seriously considering?
I think that if it's a school you're seriously considering, go at least twice. And more if you feel like, well, I still didn't get the full package while I was there. Just because, like I mentioned, you're there for 4 to 5 years potentially, and it's something that you have to make sure this is the right college for me. And when I was in school, I was out of state, so I really couldn't afford to say, well, no, this school wasn't the best fit for me, I'm gonna truck on home. So no, it's really, really important that if it's your top choice and you definitely are this is my school, I've been wanting to go here since 8th grade potentially,
right,
definitely go more than once, because after the first visit it may even conjure up some other questions that you may have of, oh, well, I didn't think about this question, or I didn't think about going here. So it may prompt more things for you to do on your second visit.
Yeah, and they might get that from visiting other schools. So you might go to, you think you're going to go to school A, you go to school A, you visit,
Right.
and then you go to school B, and it's like, well, wait a minute, they have something that school A didn't have, and so
Right.
now you're going to go back and
Exactly.
gives you a chance to kind of ask school A, like, do you have something like this? Do you have that resource or that kind of facility or something like
Right.
that? Interesting. You mentioned out of state. Do you have any tips for students and families? I know parents a lot of times kind of struggle with, how do I get my kid on a campus visit if the school's 1,000 miles away or something?
Right, yeah. And I know for some families, like my own, it was tough going on visits out of state just because there's $1, you have to pay for it. And
Right.
for some, it may not be feasible for them. So I know some schools are actually using like virtual tours, so which is on their website, and you can actually physically see, almost like Google Maps, you can see
Right.
around the campus, and that may give you a better understanding. Or even if you, maybe it has to be in the summer because maybe you're going on vacation. I mean, that may be the only time you can go on a visit, then that's still okay. We're not saying don't go in the summer, but just know that it may not be as authentic, but at least you're on campus.
Know what the differences are. Know,
Right.
why it may not feel the same so that you
Exactly.
can kind of factor that in, right?
Right.
Interesting. Parents, do you think is it smart for a student to take a parent on a campus visit with them? Should they go alone?
I guess it depends. I think for parents, they're able to ask those questions that maybe students they're not thinking about, and they're able to really get down to the nitty gritty of maybe cost or as a parent, I think a lot of the times it's also safety on campus, making sure like if I'm sending my student here, I want to make sure that they're safe, and I think it is very helpful for a parent. Now, if a parent is unable to go, then maybe take a friend or maybe even another family member, someone that you can then lean on and guide you while you're on your campus. And maybe even a friend. I know for some students, if you're with a friend, you may feel a little bit more comfortable to ask those questions or to maybe share aspects about themselves. So that is perfectly fine as well too.
But it's also then important that whoever you go with, that they're not the factor, right? That they're not influencing the decision. It's still
Right.
your choice.
Exactly. And I know that's a biggie for students too, especially if it's maybe a college that their parents are very interested in and maybe they're not as interested. I think that going into a campus visit, it should be something that parents and students talk about ahead of time, and maybe even generate questions and have those questions available while they're on tour.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to take notes either. That's very important because, I think you may have all these ideas and you've learned all these new things and you're like, get in the car and like, I forgot what we did an hour ago or forgot what they said about this dorm. So definitely take notes. We all have phones, so you can take notes on your phone.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think I ever took a note on a campus visit. Not once. No, I was.
I would be lying if I said I didn't for some of them either. But it's important. You should.
Do as we say, not as we do, right?
Yes.
Sadly, we made the mistake of not taking notes, and I couldn't tell you. Right? So, what if students have questions about paying for college? Who can they talk to specifically?
Specifically, the financial aid office. Definitely the perfect place to go while you're on campus because they're going to tell you about the cost. They're going to let you know about scholarship opportunities and then just how they may package like award letters. So it's really important that you talk to the financial aid office because they'll tell you a lot about just what it's going to cost to go to the college for the first year going forward.
So who do you think, I mean, if you had like a list of the 3 people or departments or something, the 3 things to see on a campus visit that every student should see these 3 things. What do you think those 3 would be?
Like I mentioned, of course, financial aid office.
Yeah.
I believe admission because they may be able to tell you about scholarship opportunities, especially when you apply. And then when you're talking to the admission office, they might be the same people or person you see at your school. And I definitely become buddies with them because they may help you through the application process, let you know of, admission-based scholarships. Just by applying, you're eligible for these scholarships. And then they're just a good asset to have just in case you're running into problems while you're on campus or while you're in high school as well. And then the last one, I believe in academic building.
Okay.
Preferably either your major or maybe major that you may have in mind, because then there you can again visit maybe one of the classrooms, talk to a professor or a student in that major. I think that's really helpful too, because then you can ask about the rigor, ask about, books, tests, finals, just things that maybe, you don't have that while you're in high school that can definitely give you that experience while you're on campus and talking to a professor or student.
And you really want to figure out, you're going to spend quite a bit of time in class and then doing studies and things like that, so you want to know kind of what's there for you.
Exactly.
So,
especially finals.
Especially finals. I don't think I've ever said especially finals. It's usually, oh dear God, finals.
I know. Every time I lived off coffee.
I like this one. All right. So, does it matter how a student dresses for a campus visit?
Well, okay. My rule of thumb is
yes.
We're all about impressions. So, your first impression, if you're on campus, you want to look like, okay, I am interested in this this college. I am a prospective student, so I want to look the part. Now, I'm not telling you to wear a suit because, like I mentioned, you're walking for a while on campus for that hour, but you want to look presentable. So, maybe casual wear or brownie points if you wear the college's, like, memorabilia, like their logos and things. That may give you brownie points.
I remember we were on a campus tour, and one of the kids on the campus tour was wearing the rival of the college. Mm-hmm. And I still to this day just remember like walking with him going, did you forget where you're going? Like, were you confused that you were like, you're not going to, you're going to the state school, not the university.
Yes.
So yes, it does matter what you wear. And this would be another example of do as we say, not as Jason did.
Right, yes.
So I was not very good about that. Dead of winter, I'd still wear shorts and flip-flops.
Of course, you wearing shorts.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, all right. So, well, let's make this probably, I don't know, time-wise, we'll probably make this our last question.
Okay.
You gave some tips and stuff for campus visits. So how about just general college planning? What are the 3 things students should be doing here in the spring right now?
So I would say specifically for juniors and especially seniors, juniors in the spring, going on a campus visit, of course,
right.
Researching colleges, making sure that you're getting your list ready, because as you're transitioning from junior to senior year, it comes all at once for you. So that first semester of senior year, it is hectic. You're doing everything from applying to colleges to applying for financial aid, scholarships, and then you have school on top of that. So it's really important that you're planning for your college right now. And then for my freshmen and sophomores, it's just making sure that you're taking rigorous courses. You can also research colleges as well. It doesn't hurt to figure out what you like, what you don't like. And then maybe figuring out your career choices, your career paths. Okay. So if you know that I like math or I don't like math, maybe you should find something that fits, that criteria for yourself. Researching
those majors, finding some direction. Yeah, you mentioned all the deadlines. I know this is the last question, but this is going to be a comment on that, I guess. It's interesting because you mentioned the admissions deadlines and financial aid deadlines and stuff, but that admissions or building that relationship while you're on a campus visit can really kind of help manage those types of things, because there's a classic syndrome of you don't know what you don't know type of thing, and so they can kind of help nudge you a little bit and remind you that this thing's due this week and this thing's due in a couple weeks. And then EducationQuest is another resource for that. You know, they can come in. They can set up appointments with you guys and talk about, you know, the process, where they're thinking about going and what they're thinking about doing. And none of that costs, which is kind of a great thing.
Free of cost. And you can visit us as many times as you need to. Like right now, we're still filling out FAFSA applications for students, which April 1st is Nebraska's priority deadline. So getting it in before that deadline. We can go over award letters with you, and then of course loan counseling. And if you're watching this and you know you have a sophomore or junior and you're like, well, you know, this is kind of the first time I even thought about, you know, college planning, then definitely come visit us in the spring and summer. We provide college planning appointments, which usually last about 45 minutes to an hour, and we go through the entire college prep handbook with students. And we let you know your deadlines, your timelines, and just really good, valuable information that will help you. So senior year, I'm not saying it will be a breeze or smooth sailing, but I feel like you might have a better grasp.
It certainly helps, right? So we have offices in Omaha, Lincoln, and Kearney, and all they need to do is just call one of those offices. If you go to educationquest.org, all of the contact information, addresses, and phone numbers are down at the bottom. So just keep scrolling and you'll find it. And then call the office, and if they have a quick question or something, most of the time you can, you know, get that answered pretty quickly. And of course, the social media. So if you're watching this video afterwards, or if you just have a random question at any point in time, you can always direct message us, post on our links and stuff like that. We have some great blog articles that really help kind of guide students through it. So if you ever have questions or anything like that, you're always welcome to use those things as resources as well. So I don't have anything else. Do you have anything else that you'd like to tell the masses that are tuning in right now?
No, besides just contacting our office if you have questions, concerns, or comments. And thank you all for watching. This was really fun.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. Have a good day and good luck with your college planning and your journey.
And eat pie.
And more pie. Pie day. Bye, everyone.